Chapter 3, Disciples. At that time, the elder Vimalakirti thought to himself, I am lying sick in bed. How can the world-honored one, he of great sympathy, not take pity on me? Knowing what Vimalakirti was thinking, the Buddha immediately told Sariputra, Go visit Vimalakirti and inquire about his illness. Sariputra addressed the Buddha, World-honored one, I dare not accept your instruction to go inquire about his illness. Why? I remember once in the past, when I was sitting in repose beneath a tree. At that time, Vimalakirti came and said to me, O Sariputra, you need not take this sitting in meditation to be sitting in repose. Sitting in repose is to not manifest body and mind in the triple world. This is sitting in repose. To generate the concentration of extinction while manifesting the deportments. This is sitting in repose. Not to relinquish the Dharma of enlightenment and yet manifest the affairs of ordinary sentient beings. This is sitting in repose. To have the mind neither abide internally nor locate itself externally. This is sitting in repose. To be unmoved by the 62 mistaken views, yet cultivate the 37 factors of enlightenment, this is sitting in repose. Not to eradicate the afflictions, yet enter into nirvana, this is sitting in repose. Those who are able to sit in this fashion will receive the Buddha's seal of approval. At that time, world-honored one, I simply listened to this explanation in silence and was unable to respond. Therefore, I cannot accept your instruction to go inquire about his illness. The Buddha told Maudgalyayana, You go inquire about Vimalakirti's illness. Maudgalyayana addressed the Buddha, World-honored one, I dare not accept your instruction to go inquire about his illness. Why? I remember once in the past, I had entered the great city of Fascicle and was explaining the Dharma to the retired scholars of a certain neighborhood. At the time, Vimalakirti came and said to me, O Maudgalyayana, when you explain the Dharma to white-robed retired scholars, you should not explain it as you are now doing. In explaining the Dharma, you should explain according to the Dharma. The Dharma is without sentient beings because it transcends the defilements of sentient beings. The Dharma is without self because it transcends the defilements of self. The Dharma is without lifespan because it transcends birth and death, that is samsara, and the Dharma is without person because it eradicates the threshold between previous and subsequent moments. The Dharma is permanently serene because it extinguishes the characteristics. The Dharma transcends characteristics because it is without conditions. The Dharma is without names because it eradicates words. The Dharma is without explanation because it transcends discursive thought and reasoning. The Dharma is without the characteristics of form because it is like space. The Dharma is without hypotheses because it is ultimately empty. The Dharma is without the sense of personal possession because it transcends personal possession. The Dharma is without discrimination because it transcends the consciousnesses. And the Dharma is incomparable because there is nothing to match it. The Dharma is divorced from causation because it is not located in conditionality. The Dharma is identical to Dharma nature because it inheres in the Dharmas. The Dharma accords with suchness because it is without anything that accords with it. The Dharma abides in the actual because it is unmoved by the extremes. The Dharma is motionless because it is not dependent on the 6 types of sensory data. And the Dharma is without past and future because it is constantly non-abiding. The Dharma concurs with emptiness, accords with the absence of characteristics, and responds to inactivity. The Dharma transcends good and ugly. The Dharma is without gain and loss. The Dharma is without generation and extinction. And the Dharma is without refuge. The Dharma surpasses eye, ear, nose, tongue, body, and mind. The Dharma is without high and low. The Dharma abides constantly, without moving. And the Dharma transcends all practices of contemplation. O Maudgalyayana, with characteristics such as these, how can the Dharma be explained? Explaining the Dharma should be without explaining and without indicating. Listening to the Dharma should be without listening and without attaining. It is like a magician explaining the Dharma to conjured people. One should have such a mindset in explaining the Dharma. One should comprehend that the faculties of sentient beings include both sharp and dull. You would do well to be without hindrance in your knowledge and vision. Use the mind of great compassion and praise the Mahayana. Remember to recompense the kindness of the Buddha and do not cut off the 3 jewels. Thus should you explain the Dharma. When Vimalakirti explained this Dharma, 800 retired scholars generated the intention to achieve Anuttara Samyak Sambodhi. I lack this eloquence. Therefore, I cannot accept your instruction to go inquire about his illness. The Buddha told Mahakasyapa, you go inquire about Vimalakirti's illness. Kasyapa addressed the Buddha, world-honored one, I dare not accept your instruction to go inquire about his illness. Why? I remember once in the past, when I was begging in a poor neighborhood, Vimalakirti came and said to me, O Mahakasyapa, you have the mind of sympathy and compassion, but are unable to apply it universally. You have abandoned the wealthy to beg from the poor. Kasyapa, while abiding in the Dharma of universal sameness, you should proceed in sequence in your begging. It is because of not eating that you should practice begging. It is because of the destruction of one's physical integrity that you should take that lump of food. It is because of not receiving that you should receive that food. You should enter a village with the idea that it is an empty aggregation. The forms you see are equivalent to what the blind see. The sounds you hear are equivalent to echoes. The fragrances you smell are equivalent to the wind. The flavors you eat should not be discriminated. Your tactile sensations are like the realizations of wisdom, and you should understand that the dharmas are like phantasms. That which is without self-nature and without other nature originally was not burning and will not become extinguished now. Kasyapa, if you are able to enter the 8 emancipations without renouncing the 8 perversions, using the characteristic of perversion to enter into the correct Dharma, and using a single meal to give to all, making offerings to the Buddhas and the assembly of worthies and sages, only then should you eat. To eat in this fashion is neither to have the afflictions nor to transcend the afflictions. It is neither to enter into concentration nor to arise from concentration. It is neither to abide in the world nor to abide in nirvana. Where there is charity, there are neither great nor small blessings, neither benefit nor harm. This is the correct entry into the path of Buddhahood, without relying on the Shravaka vehicle. Kasyapa, if you can eat according to this understanding, then you will not render void the charity of those who feed you. At the time, world-honored one, the explanation I heard was unprecedented to me, and I immediately generated a profound sense of reverence for all bodhisattvas. I also thought, This householder's eloquence and wisdom being as they are, how could anyone who hears him not generate the intention to achieve Anuttara Samyak Sambodhi? From now on, I will never exhort anyone to undertake the practices of Shravaka or Pratyeka Buddha. Therefore, I cannot accept your instruction to inquire about his illness. The Buddha told Subhuti, "You go inquire about Vimalakirti's illness." Subhuti addressed the Buddha, "World-honored one, I dare not accept your instruction to go inquire about his illness." "Why? I remember once in the past, I entered into his home to beg. At the time, Vimalakirti filled my bowl full of food and said to me, 'O Subhuti, if you are able to be universally same about eating, then the dharmas are also universally same. If the dharmas are universally same, you should also be universally same about eating. If you can practice begging like this, you may accept the food. If, Subhuti, you refrain from eradicating licentiousness, anger, and stupidity, yet are not equipped with them, if you do not destroy the body, yet accord with the single characteristic, if you do not extinguish stupidity and affection, yet generate wisdom and emancipation, if you use the characteristics of the 5 transgressions to attain emancipation without either emancipation or bondage, if you do not perceive the 4 noble truths, yet do not fail to perceive the truths, neither attaining the results of becoming a stream enterer, and so on, nor not attaining the results, neither being an ordinary unenlightened person, nor transcending the state of ordinary person, neither being a sage, nor not being a sage, accomplishing all the dharmas, yet transcending the characteristics of the dharmas, then you can accept this food. Subhuti, you should only accept this food if you can neither see the Buddha, nor hear the Dharma, nor the 6 teachers of heterodox paths, namely Mahakasyapa, Maskaran Sariputra, Samjayan Vairatiputra, Ajita Kesa Kamalbala, Kakuda Katyayana, and Nirgrantha Jantiputra, who were your teachers, following whom you left home, so that at the defeat of those teachers you were also defeated. Then you can accept this food. If, Subhuti, you can enter into the heterodox views and not reach the other shore, abide in the 8 difficulties and not attain the absence of difficulty, identify with the afflictions and transcend the pure dharmas, attain the samadhi of non-contention, if all sentient beings generate this concentration, if the donors do not name you their field of blessings, if those making offerings to you fall into the 3 evil destinations, if you join hands with the host of Maras and make them your co-workers, if you do not differentiate yourself from the host of Maras and the sensory troubles, if you bear resentment toward all sentient beings, if you revile the Buddhas, denigrate the Dharma, and do not enter the Sangha, and if you never attain extinction, if you are like this, then you can accept the food. When I heard these words, world-honored one, I was bewildered and did not understand what he had said. I did not know how to answer, so I put down the bowl and tried to leave his house. Vimalakirti then said, "O Subhuti, do not be afraid to take your bowl. What is the meaning of this? If a phantasmagorical person whom the Tathagata has created through the transformation of Kanjari is criticized for this, should he be afraid?" I said, "No." Vimalakirti said, "All the dharmas have the characteristic of being like phantasmagorical transformations. You should not have any fear now. Why? All verbal explanations do not transcend this characteristic. The wise are not attached to letters, and therefore they have no fear. Why? The nature of letters transcends their characteristics. There are no letters. This is emancipation, and the characteristic of emancipation is the dharmas. When Vimalakirti explained this Dharma, 200 gods attained purification of their Dharma eyes. Therefore, I cannot accept your instruction to go inquire about his illness. The Buddha told Purna Maitrayani Putra, you go inquire about Vimalakirti's illness. Purna addressed the Buddha, World-honored one, I dare not accept your instruction to go inquire about his illness. Why? I remember once in the past when I was beneath a tree in the forest explaining the Dharma to novice bhikshus. At the time, Vimalakirti came and said to me, O Purna, you should only explain the Dharma after first entering into concentration and contemplating the minds of these people. Do not put defiled food in a jeweled vessel. You should understand what these bhikshus are thinking. Do not put lapis lazuli together with crystal. You are unable to understand the fundamental sources of sentient beings. Do not inspire them with the Hinayana Dharma. Other and self are without flaw, so do not harm them. If someone wants to travel the great path, that is, practice the Mahayana, do not show them a small pathway. The ocean cannot be contained with the hoof print of an ox. The radiance of the sun cannot be equaled by that of a firefly. Purna, these bhikshus have long since generated the aspiration for the Mahayana, but in the midst of many rebirths, they have forgotten this intention. Why would you teach them with the Hinayana Dharma? When I consider the Hinayana, its wisdom is as minute as a blind man's, and with it you are unable to discriminate the sharp and dull faculties of all sentient beings. Then Vimalakirti entered into samadhi and made the bhikshus aware of their previous lives. They had planted virtuous roots under 500 Buddhas and had rededicated them to their eventual achievement of Anuttara Samyak Sambodhi. Learning this, they immediately experienced a suddenly expansive reacquisition of that original inspiration. At this, the bhikshus bowed their heads in reverence to Vimalakirti's feet. Then Vimalakirti explained the Dharma for them, and they never again retrogressed from their progress to Anuttara Samyak Sambodhi. I thought, Shravakas do not consider the faculties of people, and therefore should not explain the Dharma. Therefore, I cannot accept your instruction to go inquire about his illness. The Buddha told Mahakasyapa, you go inquire about Vimalakirti's illness. Katyayana addressed the Buddha, World-honored one, I dare not accept your instruction to go inquire about his illness. Why? I remember once in the past when the Buddha briefly explained the essentials of the Dharma to some bhikshus, and immediately afterward I expanded upon your meaning, discussing the meanings of impermanence, suffering, emptiness, no self, and extinction. At the time, Vimalakirti came to me and said, O Katyayana, do not explain the Dharma of the true characteristic using the mental processes of generation and extinction, that is, samsara. 1. Katyayana, the Dharmas are ultimately neither generated nor extinguished. This is the meaning of impermanence. 2. The 5 skandhas are empty throughout, with no arising. This is the meaning of suffering. 3. The Dharmas ultimately do not exist. This is the meaning of emptiness. 4. There is no self in the self, yet no duality. This is the meaning of no self. And 5. The Dharmas were originally not burning and will not become extinguished now. This is the meaning of extinction. When Vimalakirti explained this Dharma, the bhikshus' minds attained emancipation. Therefore, I cannot accept your instruction to go inquire about his illness. The Buddha told Anuruddha, you go inquire about Vimalakirti's illness. Anuruddha addressed the Buddha, World-honored one, I dare not accept your instruction to go inquire about his illness. Why? I remember once in the past I was walking quietly in a certain location. At the time, a Brahma king named Adorned Purity, in the company of 10,000 Brahmas generating pure radiance, proceeded to where I was. He bowed to my feet in reverence and asked me, "How much, Anuruddha, can you see with your divine eye?" I answered, "Sir, I see the trimegachilocosm of Sakyamuni's Buddha land as if I were looking at a mango in the palm of my hand." Then Vimalakirti came to me and said, "O Anuruddha, is the seeing of the divine eye a constructed characteristic, or is it an unconstructed characteristic? If it is a constructed characteristic, then it is equivalent to the 5 supernormal powers of the heterodox paths. If it is an unconstructed characteristic, then it is unconditioned and should be without seeing, that is, views." World-honored one, at the time I remained silent. Hearing his words, the Brahmas attained something unprecedented, immediately reverenced Vimalakirti and asked him, "Who in this world has the true divine eye?" Vimalakirti said, "There is the Buddha, the world-honored one, who has attained the true divine eye. Always in samadhi, he sees all the Buddha lands without any characteristic of duality." At this, Adorned Purity Brahma King and his attending 500 Brahma Kings all generated the intention to achieve Anuttara Samyak Sambodhi. They bowed to Vimalakirti's feet, then instantly disappeared. Therefore, I cannot accept your instruction to go inquire about his illness. The Buddha told Upali, "You go inquire about Vimalakirti's illness." Upali addressed the Buddha, "World-honored one, I dare not accept your instruction to go inquire about his illness. Why? I remember once in the past, there were 2 bhikshus who had violated the practice of the Vinaya, but from their shame did not dare ask you about it. They came to ask me, 'O Upali, we have violated the Vinaya and are sincerely ashamed, not daring to ask the Buddha about it. We want you to explain our doubts and the need for repentance, so that we may be relieved of the transgressions.' I immediately explained the matter to them according to the Dharma. At that time, Vimalakirti came and said to me, 'O Upali, do not increase these 2 bhikshus' transgressions. You should just remove the transgressions and do not disturb their minds. Why? The nature of those transgressions does not reside within. It does not reside without, and it does not reside in the middle. As the Buddha has explained, when their minds are defiled, sentient beings are defiled. When their minds are purified, sentient beings are purified. The mind, likewise, does not reside within, does not reside without, and does not reside in the middle. Just so is the mind, and just so are transgression and defilement. The dharmas are also likewise in not transcending suchness. Just so, Upali, when one attains emancipation using the characteristics of the mind, is it, that is the mind, defiled or not?" I said, "It is not." Vimalakirti said, "The characteristics of the minds of all sentient beings are likewise in being without defilement." O Upali, to have false concepts is defilement. To be without false concepts is purity. Confusion is defilement, and the absence of confusion is purity. To grasp the self is defilement, and not to grasp the self is purity. Upali, all the dharmas are generated and extinguished without abiding. Like phantasms or lightning bolts, the dharmas do not depend on each other. They do not abide even for a single instant. The dharmas are all false views, like a dream, like a mirage, like the moon reflected in water, like an image in a mirror, all generated from false conceptualization. Those who understand this are called upholders of the Vinaya. Those who understand this are said to understand well. At this, the two bhikshus said, "Such superior wisdom! Upali cannot match this. There could be no better explanation of upholding the Vinaya." I then answered, "Excluding the Tathagata, there has never been a Sravaka or Bodhisattva able to command the eloquence for such a felicitous explanation. Such is the brilliance of his wisdom." At the time, the doubts and need for repentance of the two bhikshus were eliminated. They generated the intention to achieve Anuttara Samyak Sambodhi, speaking this vow: "Let all sentient beings attain this level of eloquence." Therefore, I cannot accept your instruction to go inquire about his illness. The Buddha told Rahula, "You go inquire about Vimalakirti's illness." Rahula addressed the Buddha, "World-honored one, I dare not accept your instruction to go inquire about his illness." "Why?" "I remember once in the past, the elders, sons of Vaisali, came to where I was, bowed their heads to me in reverence, and asked, 'O Rahula, you are the son of the Buddha, who forsook the position of universal ruler, and left home for the path that is enlightenment. What benefits are there to leaving home?' I then explained to them, according to the Dharma, the benefits of the merits of leaving home. At that point, Vimalakirti came and said to me, 'O Rahula, you should not explain the benefits of the merits of leaving home. Why? To be without benefit and without merit, this is leaving home. One may explain that there are benefits and merits in the conditioned dharmas, but leaving home is an unconditioned dharma, and there are no benefits and merits in unconditioned dharmas. Rahula, to leave home is to be without that and this, and without intermediate. It is to transcend the 62 views and to be located in nirvana. Leaving home is accepted by the wise and practiced by the sagely. It subjugates the host of maras and allows one to transcend the 5 destinations, purify the 5 eyes, attain the 5 powers, and establish the 5 faculties. It is to be without vexation over, quote, that, to transcend the host of heterogeneous evils, and to demolish the heterodox paths. It is to transcend provisional names and emerge from the muck of samsara. It is to be without attachments, without any sense of personal possession. It is to be without experience, without turmoil. It is to harbor joy within and defend the intentions of others. It is to accord with meditation and transcend the host of transgressions. If one can be like this, then this is true leaving home." At this, Vimalakirti said to those elders' sons, "You would do well to leave home together in the correct Dharma. Why? It is difficult to encounter a time when a Buddha is in the world." The elders' son said, "O retired scholar, we have heard that the Buddha has said one may not leave home without first receiving permission from one's parents." Vimalakirti said, "So it is. You should immediately generate the intention to achieve Anuttara Samyak Sambodhi, and this is to, quote, leave home. This is sufficient." Then 32 elders' sons all generated the intention to achieve Anuttara Samyak Sambodhi. Therefore, I cannot accept your instruction to go inquire about his illness. The Buddha told Ananda, "You go inquire about Vimalakirti's illness." Ananda addressed the Buddha, "World-honored one, I dare not accept your instruction to go inquire about his illness." "Why?" "I remember once in the past, the world-honored one had a slight illness requiring cow's milk as medicine. I took my bowl and proceeded to the gateway of a great Brahmin home. While I was standing there, Vimalakirti came and said to me, 'O Ananda, why are you standing here with your bowl so early in the morning?' I said, "O retired scholar, the world-honored one has a slight illness requiring cow's milk, and so I have come here." Vimalakirti said, "Stop! Stop, Ananda! Do not speak thus. The Tathagata's body is the essence of Vajra. In it, the evils are already eradicated, and the host of goods universally assembled. What illness could it have? What vexation could there be? Go silently, Ananda. Do not revile the Tathagata, and do not let anyone else hear such coarse talk. Do not allow the gods of awesome power and virtue and the bodhisattvas who have come from pure lands and other directions to hear these words. Ananda, even a small degree of blessings, that is, merit, allows the wheel-turning sage king to be without illness. How could the immeasurable blessings of the Tathagata fail to exceed his in every regard? Go, Ananda. Do not make us experience this shame. If Brahmins in the heterodox paths hear this, they will think, "Who is this teacher who is unable to save himself from illness, but would save others of their ills?" Sir, go in secret haste, and do not let anyone hear this. You should understand, Ananda, the bodies of the Tathagatas are bodies of the Dharma, not bodies of longing. The Buddha is the world-honored one, who has transcended the triple world. The Buddha's body is without flaws, the flaws having been extinguished. The Buddha's body is unconditioned and does not fit the conventional analytical categories. A body such as this, how could it be ill? How could it be vexed? At the time, world-honored one, I was really ashamed that I might have mistakenly heard what the Buddha had said, in spite of being so close. I then heard a voice from space saying, "Ananda, it is as the retired scholar has said. It is just that the Buddha has appeared in this evil age of the 5 corruptions and manifests this Dharma to emancipate sentient beings. Go, Ananda, take the milk without shame." World-honored one, the eloquence of Vimalakirti's wisdom is like this. Therefore, I cannot accept your instruction to go inquire about his illness. In similar fashion, all of the Buddha's 500 great disciples each explained their original encounters and related what Vimalakirti had said, and each said he was unable to accept the Buddha's instruction to go inquire about Vimalakirti's illness.